Welcome to Streaming Into the Void, where we discuss the streaming news for the week ending June 7th, 2026. I'm Kim Hollis, digital marketing expert, who is a medical mystery yet again, and I'm tired of it. With me is Tim Brighty, content creator, gamer, and hopper.
Does that make me the podcast king?
Also, David Mumpower, author of Disney Demystified and streaming media analyst, who just found out CFB27 has NIL. Now it's all he wants to do in life.
All day long, I have had spring break-itis as if I could get my work done, I could play this stupid video game beta. But I can't get my work done because I'm too busy thinking about this stupid video game beta.
I want to play this now. They took our idea.
I'm pretty sure you guys pitched this.
I know.
Basically, you min-max everything in the game, which is all I've ever wanted in life.
And the podcast is produced and edited by Raul Buriel, who's taking a break from directing his horror movie to join us today. I hope it's cheap horror.
I don't know what happened, guys. I posted a TikTok about a nightmare I had the other night, and now I have a 7-figure deal.
With A24? Yeah, okay.
Fantastic. Congrats. This week, the storm clouds are gathering as it now seems likely that the state attorneys general are set to sue to block the Paramount-Skydance takeover of Warner Brothers Discovery. Does this move change anything?
Kim, we were talking about it. You were the one who told me the news. You had previously said that you thought the odds of the deal falling apart were what?
Like 20%.
And now you think they're what?
Like 40%.
So my numbers were 5% and 20%, which means that you're saying the odds are doubled of this deal collapsing, and my odds have quadrupled. But we're still saying 20 to 40% chance, so it's still less than half. So the deal's probably going to go through. But this is exactly the sort of roadblock we were looking at going, well, if somebody showed some spine on this, it could get interesting. Hey, look, that's somebody showing some spine. So yes, I do think it matters some. Does it matter a lot? It depends on the details. I mean, at this point, we legitimately have no idea who this lawsuit is even against. Who do you sue on this when you know that the government is trying to push the deal through? And if you sue Paramount, what is your actual charge? I mean, what are you saying? You'll break your word? How do you prove that in court? So we have a lot of questions here. Raul, when you heard the story, what was your reaction?
I don't know that I'm surprised. We've been telling our listeners for weeks now that it seemed very likely that a lawsuit was going to be filed. By whom and against whom are definitely two very important questions when filing a lawsuit. And one of the actors here is probably the Attorney General of California. The other is probably the Attorney General of New York, where Paramount and Warner Brothers both have offices. Now, when we have a lawsuit against the Nexstar and Tegna merger, those lawsuits can come from a number of different states because Nexstar and Tegna have broadcast stations in many different states. And so all these states can claim that they have a stake in the outcome of that merger. What other states might sue? I don't know. Many states might claim to have adverse consequences if this merger goes ahead. But like David said, what exactly are they suing about? Arguably, it would be antitrust. The claims appear to be that the Attorney General of California at least feels that the federal government has not upheld their responsibility when it comes to antitrust, and so thus the states have to do it. It's unclear yet, and much less how this would work. Would this lawsuit be filed before the merger or only after the merger has been approved, assuming it gets approved? Right now, there's a lot of signs indicating that at least in the United States, the federal government is going to approve the merger. Is this going to be approved in Europe? Maybe. And if it does, will there be qualifiers? Will it be approved in other countries? I don't know. Maybe. The best possible outcome for anyone who is opposed to this merger is to draw it out at least until November, because in November there's an election and that might change the calculus in Washington, D.C. Drawing it out until November seems very unlikely, right? Because Paramount keeps making noise about how they think this merger will be approved as soon as July. So the likelihood that it can be drawn out until November is low, unless, of course, there is a legal wrench. And the longer this merger is postponed, the colder the feet are going to get of the people who are backing this. A lot of this money is coming from the Middle East that right now is in a lot of turmoil. And these people might not want to finance a merger, especially as it seems like the tides are turning against the approval of the merger. So if you are someone like the Attorney General of California who feels that a merger would adversely affect the movie industry in California, what you want to do is continue to throw roadblocks in the way until finally the people who are backing the merger finally say, you know what, I'm done with this, I'm leaving, and they take their money with them. Right now, it's a lot of brinksmanship, a lot of people making a lot of noise. No lawsuit has been filed yet, but yes, Reuters is suggesting that a lawsuit is pending. Against whom and by whom and on what grounds? None of that is clear yet.
So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to add to Raul's thoughts that the target date isn't actually November, it's October, because as the Reuters article points out, starting in October, Paramount wrote it into the contract that they would start paying fees. And the company has flatly stated that that fee is $6.9 million a day. The goal here may be to just cause those 1,000 cuts that keep making this less and less financially viable for all involved. Paramount obviously has financed this within an inch of their life, and frankly, they've financed it in a way that shouldn't actually be legal under the current laws of this country. So they're already playing on the razor's edge to begin with, and now it could get pushed even more. And if you're asking how much of a difference does this make, well, we know that both companies, Warner Brothers Discovery and Paramount, had their stocks drop today. Now, it wasn't a lot. It was 3% for Warner Brothers Discovery and a little over 4% for Paramount, which means investors did get nervous today. If I'm looking at this and I'm Paramount, I'm realizing part of the reason this is starting to be a problem is one idiot. And so I think that if I'm running Paramount right now, Barry Weiss is fired. You can only have shamelessly corrupt idiots running your company once the deal is closed. She is garnering way too many incendiary headlines for running 60 Minutes off a cliff into flaming wreckage. If you're going to do that, you have to wait until the deal has closed. C. Montgomery Burns, of all people, knew that. For whatever reason, Barry Weiss doesn't seem to get it, and she's acting like she's completely above the law. She just fired the most recognizable person on 60 Minutes for having the audacity to speak up to her. And so what happened? There's another wave of negative headlines against Paramount. These are the types of things that make people more and more nervous, which is why this deal, which frankly should have been a slam dunk under the current market conditions, is no longer a certainty. Kim thinks it's almost up to being a coin flip, it falls apart. When Raul was saying right at the start he wasn't sure this deal would go through, we were kind of looking at him like, okay, that's a take. As this advances, he's looking smarter and smarter because it is getting more and more perilous, and that's where we stand. So this current proposed lawsuit doesn't mean anything yet, but very, very soon it could mean everything. Pay very close attention to what happens next.
So, Tim, I do believe we have more box office to talk about this week.
Sure. We are recording on Friday this week, so we don't have full numbers for this weekend. But I can tell you that with Thursday's preview numbers, the top movie for that day happened to be The Amazing Digital Circus, about $7.8 million.
Yes.
Yes, I knew that would make Raul very happy because he's been hammering that one home for a while now. So on the heels of Backroom's astounding $81 million last weekend, Obsession, nowhere yet if it's seen yet another increase, although it on this past Tuesday did somehow go up from the previous Tuesday, which again, this is not supposed to happen in box office. Yeah, it is just this ridiculous takeover of a new generation, or I guess just people who watch stuff on YouTube who now want to go see these things that these content creators are making in theaters. Oh, and by the way, Scary Movie was second with 7.7 million. So that was kind of surprising. I'm not sure how that's going to hold up on the weekend. And oh yeah, I guess the one that was supposed to be the big release this weekend, Masters of the Universe, the He-Man movie, $4.4 million. Did anyone see these movies, like especially Backroom's Obsession, ending up with more money than The Mandalorian and Grogu, which has not happened yet, but will happen at their current rate of box office?
No, not at all. I mean, I'd been banging the drum for the Amazing Digital Circus, but I will be the first to admit that I was very much in a kind of an echo chamber with that. It was a series I was familiar with because my daughter watches it, and so I watch it with her, and we enjoyed it quite a lot. And so, yes, there was a lot of stories about how this series on YouTube that Netflix then picked up and is also showing the same episodes on Netflix was going to show its last two episodes in theaters. I just didn't know if it was big news writ large or if it was just big news to me. And so I kept saying, oh, yeah, watch out for the Amazing Digital Circus. But frankly, comparing any of these to the latest Star Wars movie in theaters is an absurdity. Star Wars movies are supposed to be blockbusters. And I didn't bring this up when we discussed it last week, but I think this Mandalorian and Grogu movie should be looked at in the same lens as these YouTube movies, because there is no Mandalorian and Grogu movie in theaters unless there's first Baby Yoda and the viral sensation that was Baby Yoda originally on Disney Plus. If we all see Baby Yoda on Disney Plus and everybody just goes meh and nobody cares, then that's it. That's the end of it. There's like one series of The Mandalorian and then we never speak of it again. But Baby Yoda became a viral sensation and that got turned into a theatrical release that sure costs a lot more money to produce than Obsession or The Amazing Digital Circus or The Backrooms.
All combined, actually, yes.
Certainly, yes. But it is a Disney Star Wars movie on a shoestring budget, relatively speaking. And as David has pointed out to us, it's not just what this movie does in theaters. It is then the merchandising and the appeal of drawing people to the theme parks and the Star Wars cruises on Disney Cruise Line. So we are somewhat comparing apples to oranges here. If the Mandalorian and Grogu movie is actually overshadowed by some YouTube sensation that just happens to have landed in theaters on the same weekend or the weekend after, it's a little bit of an embarrassment for Disney, but don't worry. Star Wars is going to be just fine.
Yeah, there was an interesting discussion that I saw online wondering if, yes, The Mandalorian and Grogu only exists because of the streaming series The Mandalorian, which when the whole Baby Yoda thing dropped, everyone went crazy. But is it the idea that thanks to streaming and the expansion of these franchises, and you can expand this to Marvel too, is it just that it's no longer special and therefore no one is feeling like they need to go see this in the theaters now because they can just wait for streaming? Or it's that Star Wars just isn't special anymore because of all these streaming series? And now, oh, they turned that streaming show into a movie. I don't really need to see it.
I think we need to paint with a less broad stroke than just Star Wars. Star Wars as a brand itself is, I would say, a little weak when it comes to audiences. But if you're painting much more narrowly, like right now, I would argue that that narrow brush is Grogu, Baby Yoda, then that can work in the same way that maybe a Marvel movie is a very broad brush to use. And a lot of people right now don't seem to be very interested. But if that brush is a little bit narrower and that Marvel movie is Spider-Man Brand New Day, then maybe that works a little bit better. It has to be specific. If the next Star Wars movie is just more clones and Jedis, then I don't think people are going to care about that. But if they can find something that is very narrow and focused that people are going to love, there was a lot of buzz last year about how there could have been a Kylo Ren movie, and that seemed to have really lit a little bit of a viral fire online. People saying, wow, I would have watched a Kylo Ren movie. It has to be specific. And right now, I don't think that they're finding the right specific product for people to create a viral Star Wars hit.
The other thing I'm going to throw in here is there's the possibility that they waited too long on a Baby Yoda movie. I mean, that character was introduced in 2019, and so we've had 3 seasons of The Mandalorian and Grogu stretched out over that time. We haven't had one in a while. There might be a lack of freshness to this, which has been a concern. But as Raul referenced, the game here was never about box office revenue. They intentionally kept the production budget to $160 million on this, which is actually sadly low for films like this nowadays. They did that because their goal here is to sell more merchandise. Grogu is already a billion-dollar product as it is, literally sold billions of dollars worth of merchandise with that character. They just wanted to renew interest in the brand, which is not a new concept for them. It's the reason why Toy Story 4 exists. It's the reason why Cars 3 exists. These are three of Disney's most popular brands in terms of toy sales, merchandise sales, and so new films tend to renew interest in these products. That's what we're looking at here. And yet, even as we make all of these defenses of the decision, we all know this is not a good box office result, especially not for a Star Wars film, which used to be the most bulletproof brand in cinema.
Yeah, to the Marvel point, I remember the discussions we were having last year regarding Thunderbolts and then Fantastic Four, and we're like, wow, we're not having another Marvel movie till the end of 2026 with Avengers Doomsday, and we completely skipped over Spider-Man because that does feel separate, being that's Sony's piece of the MCU rather than Disney, and I just feel that is separate. But I also am wondering, to the same point I've been making, does the idea that it's all on just the deluge of content and then all the various streaming shows, we're just done with these aren't special anymore, and that's affecting the box office, and then you get something just different, or hey, people watch this stuff on YouTube and then these people make movies and now they're going to see these movies and they're outgrossing freaking a Star Wars movie. That's the point that I still can't get over, how much box office Obsession and Backrooms have taken in, and now we're looking for a good weekend for the Amazing Digital Circus as well.
Based on current trends, the Mr. Beast movie is going to open at $250 million.
No, Mr. Beast is already over.
He's already canceled, yeah.
So to mash together what Tim and David have just said, I think what we need to look for right now is for Disney to put out something on Disney Plus that actually catches fire and then turn it into a theatrical release sooner. I think if they can combine those two elements, that is the takeaway of what we've seen at the box office in the last 2 or 3 weeks with Obsession and with the Backrooms. A lot of people are going to take away from this that, oh, we just need to hire YouTubers to make movies for us.
Yeah, yes. They're going to get the wrong idea from this.
Yeah.
Yes.
No, the correct message is find something that is viral on streaming and then turn it into a movie. That, I believe, is what's going to work. And if Disney can find something that works on streaming and then turn it into a movie faster, as glib as that sounds, I think that is the correct message here.
All right. Great discussion, y'all. Tim, let's now talk about the ratings.
All right, there are some things to talk about, although it gets progressively stupider. But we have the Nielsen streaming ratings for Monday, May 4th to Sunday, May 10th, 2026. And your top original show, to no surprise, is The Boys. About 1 billion minutes for its 38 current episodes. We are still 2 more episodes away from its finale. So I guess people are just committed to it at this point. I know the reactions weren't great, but based on this, I do think it has not reached its peak yet. That will happen with its finale, which will arrive in 2 more weeks of ratings from now. So we have that to look forward to at least, but I expect it to remain the top show over those next couple weeks.
It's just nice to see something over 1 billion minutes again.
Yeah, that had been a couple weeks, which was a little alarming, but don't worry, Roll, there's one more coming. In second is Man on Fire, 840 million minutes for its 7-episode season from Netflix. Of course, this is the full week of it, so decent hold. Probably about what I expected for it. I'll take it. That's fine. Unfortunately, returning in third is Worst X Ever, 778 million minutes for 8 episodes. This is, of course, a unfortunate true crime docuseries, the second season of which premiered on May 6th with 4 additional episodes. Yay. New in fourth, Lord of the Flies, 565 million minutes for its 4 episodes. I remember when we talked about this on What's New, I hadn't realized, though, that it was a BBC-produced series that was just now making its way to the US via Netflix, where it arrived on May 4th. So this is the full week of ratings, so probably not going to go up from here, but at least it made it.
Yeah, it actually garnered a considerable amount of buzz after its BBC release, and there was a bidding war for the streaming rights in the US. And of course, Mr. Moneybags Netflix showed up and won the bidding war.
Backed up the money truck, and yep, there we go. I was wondering, I was like, is it just been a significant amount of time since the Lord of the Flies adaptation? Was there anything special about it? I guess it does have actually very positive reviews, so I guess that helped. But it just seems like such an odd property to adapt in 2026.
Any more than another Pride and Prejudice, Tim?
In fifth from Netflix, we have Funny AF with Kevin Hart, 486 million minutes for 8 episodes. So I remember we mentioned this. It was part of their Netflix is a joke series. I think it kind of tied into the roast. But it turns out this was a competition series that dropped 4 episodes on April 20th, 2 more on the 27th, and then they're on May 4th. And 5th were 2 live finale episodes, and that is why it is here. It is Kevin Hart and some well-established comedians, Keegan-Michael Key, Tom Segura, Camille Nanjiani, Chelsea Handler, Nikki Glazer as the judges, with the winner apparently getting their own Netflix comedy special.
This sounds considerably similar to one of my favorite series of a few decades back, Last Comic Standing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. The difference, I would argue, and it didn't last anyway, was that the early seasons of Last Comic Standing actually had the comedians all staying together in a house.
Yes.
So that between the competitions, you'd get to see them
interact. The Big Brother method, yeah.
Exactly. Yes. When you're getting new, young, up-and-coming comedic talent competing against each other, that's very interesting. Unfortunately, it's also the premise to the Tom Hanks Sally Field movie Punchline, where at the end, all the comedians are brought up on stage to announce who the winner is, and all the comedians revolt because they thought that was such a terrible idea. It's like, that is every day on Netflix now.
Oh boy. Okay. Oh, one more Netflix show to go in 6. Running Point, not that Lakers show. 456 million minutes for 2 seasons, 20 episodes after premiering a couple weeks ago. But returning in 7th, shockingly, Citadel, 438 million minutes for 13 episodes from Prime Video. Season 1 arrived in 2023 with 6 episodes, and Prime Video did it again. That was a weekly release, but on May 6th, they dropped a 7-episode second season.
Yeah, we can mock this series all we want. Season 2 makes the charts, and now the Russo brothers are redeemed.
There were multiple international spin-offs of this that premiered before we got an actual second season. That's the weird thing. The Pit, it's 2 seasons, 30 episodes complete, 417 million minutes from HBO Max, of course, as it slides down the original chart after finishing a few weeks ago. Ms. Rachel, her 8 episodes, 353 million minutes from Netflix. And we have a Peacock show in 10th, MIA, 334 million minutes for its 9 episodes. After premiering on May 7th, all at once, I don't know what this one is, actually.
Yeah, I saw indications that this series was actually going to chart, and I was very dumbfounded.
Right.
Not Ted?
Nope. No, what happened to Ted? What the heck?
MIA? Who the hell is watching this?
Let's see. It's a crime drama series. It stars Carrie Ellis is in it, so that's something. But apparently, maybe it helps. We won't know yet for sure. They actually put the pilot on NBC as well on May 14th, so I'm curious if that will cause it to stick around. Probably not, but I find that curious that they went ahead and did that. All right, movies. Let's get into this one. Swapped is your top movie. That's not a surprise. 852 million minutes from Netflix. That premiered on last week's ratings, arriving on May 1st. Did very well. Not a surprise. They claimed it somehow had more viewership in its first week than K-pop Demon Hunters. Not that these numbers reflect that, but it has that going for it. But that's still a pretty good number for a full week. New in second, Remarkably Bright Creatures, 696 million minutes from Netflix.
This is an adaptation of a beloved novel.
Yes.
It's basically narrated by an octopus, voiced by...
Alfred Molina.
And starring Sally Field.
Starring Sally Field, yes. Wow, interesting. Okay. It actually has...
Because people love Sally Field. I told you this last month.
Pretty positive reviews, 83% fresh on Rotten Tomatoes. So not a surprise that it's here, premiering on the 8th. So that actually is just the weekend number. So I actually might expect that one to go a little higher next week. Meanwhile, David's favorite movie of 2026, Sent Help, is third, 427 million minutes from Hulu. So
this aspersion will not stand.
I mean, it's third place, but that's not a great number. So at least that's something. So I wouldn't expect this one to hold on too long, but given the bottom half of this chart, you never know. It might be here for a few weeks. In fourth, Mother's Day, 294 million minutes from Netflix. Okay, yeah, May 10th was Mother's Day. This is the 2016 romantic comedy. Sure, I'll allow it. I think this actually may have happened before because we've been doing these ratings for long enough now that this wouldn't be an unprecedented effect.
I think this is the one where CNBC called us in a panic saying that they couldn't find anybody on air to talk about Mother's Day, so they needed us to get to a studio in 45 minutes. We didn't go.
I was going to say, the logistics of that don't add up.
I vaguely remember us having a conversation about how they could just name movies randomly about holidays, like Arbor Day.
And it would
once
chart,
a year, that movie will chart.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm actually debating whether it was this or New Year's Eve. It was one of those two.
Okay. Apex is fifth. Previous top movie, 286 million minutes from Netflix. While The Devil Wears Prada, with The Devil Wears Prada 2 now in theaters as of these ratings, 253 million minutes. This one credited to HBO Max and Hulu. Zootopia 2 is seventh, 206 million minutes from Disney Plus, of course. And here we go, folks. In eighth, The Proposal, 194 million minutes on Netflix as of May 1st. In ninth, Pretty Woman, 175 million minutes on Netflix as of, you guessed it, May 1st. In 10th, Striking Distance, 173 million minutes. This movie, thankfully, Nielsen helpfully provided the year of release. It was 1993. Before looking it up, Bro and I briefly wondered in the pre-show, was this like Steven Seagal? It sounds like maybe a Jean-Claude Van Damme movie. No, it's Bruce Willis.
Bruce Willis, I knew this one, yeah. So what I think happened is on Mother's Day, everyone was guilted into actually letting mom handle the remote control for a while. And then after that was over and they got tired of Ryan Reynolds in The Proposal, they were like, I got to watch a Bruce Willis film. I feel like that's what we're witnessing here. It's the only thing that makes sense to me. But I will say this. The Proposal had one of the funniest viral clips ever, which was Betty White manipulating Ryan Reynolds. Go watch it if you don't know what I'm talking about. It's comedy gold.
Yeah, at least that one's pretty good. But yeah, really, like, oh my gosh.
Julia Roberts, the national treasure, Tim. Cut it out.
No, absolutely. I mean, I'm not throwing any shade at Pretty Woman either. That one's fine, but it just gets ridiculous what makes these ratings and what doesn't. Because people watch stuff just because Netflix tells them to at this point. That's how big they are. If they ever decide to use their powers for evil, we're all screwed.
He was a hooker with a heart of gold. It's the only time anyone has ever been that archetype in a movie ever.
It's the only time. Yes. Oh dear. Acquired is 10 shows we have seen before, led by your top overall show for the week, La Brea, 1.3 billion minutes for 30 episodes.
What in the manifest is going on here?
It's the summer of La Brea. Get used to it, folks. We thought we might not see this one again because that's what we said last week. Oh, sometimes like shows will just show up, the couple seasons on broadcast, they'll show up on the acquired chart for a week. We'll never see them again. Nope, this one seems to be sticking around after its seasons arrived on Netflix on May 1st, even though apparently it's been on Peacock the whole time. So shame on you for not watching it previously.
Somewhere at Netflix, there is a whiteboard that says manifest times Suits times La Brea crossover ? I guarantee you.
Don't keep mentioning Manifest, David. That's how a new season of La Brea happens.
Yes, right. That's what's next, is they're going to renew it for another season. So yeah, at least Originals is shaking up with some interesting stuff to talk about. But movies, again, just started out okay and then just got worse. But Acquired, yeah, it's La Brea summer, folks. Just that's what we're here for.
As always, we close it out with what's been keeping us busy over the last week. And, well, I've slept through the majority of the last week. But, yeah, we have watched and rewatched again Hoppers.
Yay!
Which I am currently coming to the end of a current rewatch as we do this podcast. It is just such a charming, adorable, and hilarious film. There are so many moments in the movie that just make me laugh out loud. It's got a great heart and just, I really do hope that it catches fire on streaming.
Me too.
It deserves it. It's funny, so funny. And like, I don't want to say like some of the funny things because it spoils
I know.
some really great surprises. So just watch Hoppers. I know that Tim's just watched it and I know that Raul watched it as well.
Multiple moments just had me in just uncontrollable laughter to the point of almost tears. It was just unexpectedly hysterical. I was loving it so much. But yeah, again, it's a Pixar movie. So of course, you're going to get the heartfelt moments, but you're just going to get quality from them at this point. So yeah, if it's a hard explanation, a hard sell when you mention it to people. It did pretty well at the box office, but I was like, oh yeah, there's a new Pixar movie. They're like, oh, there is? I mean, they really needed to market it better. But yeah, I hope it just catches fire now that it's on Disney Plus.
Raul, what's been keeping you busy?
Yeah, like Kim mentioned, I too just watched Hoppers. It was a delightful little movie. Numerous funny scenes with animals. Although I have to say, where do you get the little crown is still one of these lines. No, I'm going to tell you about actually Sugar on Apple TV. This is the Colin Farrell noir detective series that I thought was only going to be one season until we discovered that season 2 is coming up in a week or so. So I figure I'd finally dive in and give Sugar a shot because on the one hand, I think Apple TV has been firing on all cylinders lately, and I can't imagine that this one would suck because it's got Colin Farrell in it in a noir series, and I was not disappointed. But on the other hand, I wanted to watch this after I had watched Spider Noir on Prime Video, and after I watched Spider Noir on Prime Video, I decided I wanted to watch a good noir detective series instead. I can't say there was too many bad things about Spider Noir on Prime Video. It just wasn't good. To me, it was relatively flat. Nick Cage's delivery as a 1930s gumshoe is as overwrought and overacted as you would expect a role to be from Nicolas Cage. And unfortunately, I feel it takes away too much from the series. It's so overwrought, in fact, that there's actually a plot element to explain why he is so over the top as a 1930s detective. I don't know if they wrote that in after they realized, oh my God, he's chewing up the scenery. We have to explain why he's chewing up the scenery. But it just wasn't great. But literally the moment I was done with Spider Noir, I thought, maybe I need to give Sugar a shot. And yeah, it is night and day. Sugar is a solid detective story. And if that's all it was, that would be fantastic all on its own. But there's something else about Sugar that I cannot really describe without honestly spoiling the entire series. It's not exactly a detective thriller. There's something else going on. They start telegraphing it almost from the get-go. And by the time it's actually revealed more than halfway through the series, it's so obvious that when you see it, you go, oh yeah, that's definitely where they were going with this. It's a strange little twist, which begs the question, why? Because it's such a good detective series all on its own. Did you really need to put that twist in there? But it is very similar in the sense that Spider Noir is a detective series wherein the detective also happens to be Spider-Man. Sugar is something like that. Of the two, I would strongly recommend Sugar over Spider Noir. If you're a Marvel fan, it's worth watching Spider Noir to get some of that Spider-Man flavor. There's a couple of villains that are similar to Spider-Man villains from the comic books and the movies. But other than that, it isn't really worth the time and investment that you need to get to the end of it. On the other hand, Sugar delivers with every episode. It is a great story, and I'm delighted to find out that they are doing a second season. Colin Farrell, as always, is a great actor, so I'm looking forward to seeing what he does with season 2.
Okay, and David.
I was right beside you the whole time Hoppers was on. We laughed a lot. We said the weekend that we watched Hoppers that Pixar was back and that this was quite possibly the funniest film they've ever done. Upon rewatch, if anything, it's better. This is an absolutely joyous cinematic experience. I highly recommend it for everyone. If you want good quality family entertainment, you won't do better than Hoppers this entire year. I mean that. And I say it with Toy Story 5 right around the corner. Hoppers is damn near perfect.
Thank you for listening to Streaming Into the Void. Please consider subscribing wherever you listen to podcasts, and we welcome your feedback. Remember that we're on social media at Streaming Void and online at streamingvoid.com. If you like what you're hearing, please consider becoming a supporter on Patreon at patreon.com/streamingvoid. Be sure to watch for us again next week.